Today's a fun experiment. Today we are looking at two spruce and rosewood OM-bodied guitars from two very different builders, C.F. Martin and Furch. Today, by doing so, we're going to show you the importance of the DNA of the manufacturer and how much the build designs affect the tone of the guitar. Stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for customized t-shirts and other swag. And check out our new podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts. So today we're looking at two very different builders. Just about as different as you can get. Well, there's other crazy ones out there. But yeah. C.F. Martin, extremely traditional U.S. brand from Nazareth, PA. And then I have a Furch orange OM, Master's Choice, all the way from the Czech Republic.
Furch.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Furch.
I've watched Paul David's video where he does it several times.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Sorry, but yeah.
So Furch being the brand that those who know and love, and those who don't know are constantly impressed by when we put them in their hands. And Martin being the one that we can't get our hands on at all.
The OG that isn't available right now. Yeah.
But we got in the orange. I don't think we've really done much on the orange series, let alone the OM-SR, Master's Choice. Really fantastic guitar. And from our latest order, I think maybe one of the only ones that we got multiples of, because we are constantly trying to get as much of these guitars in. The blue Master's Choice and Blue Plus, all that has been super popular. Yeah. But I think this is a pretty kind of underrated one in the line. For those who know, a lot of people go straight for the reds. Kind of like, Taylor, where you got a few that are spruce and rosewood. Obviously you can get some different wood pairings throughout their colored line. But in terms of spruce and rosewood OM, I've been recommending this one quite a bit. So I wanted to kind of compare it to my favorite OM.
The OM-28.
OM-28.
Yeah, also one of my favorites. And it's true what you've been saying. So it's been hard to find or get a hold of Martin guitars. We've had a lot of things on order that we've just had to wait on. If you're one of our customers who's ordered one of those, you know what I'm talking about. And so it's been a while since I've held an OM-28, gotten to play one. So when I opened the case and saw it today, I was just like,
welcome back.
Yeah. Hello, herringbone. So yeah, I mean, that's a classic guitar. So many people have played it, and there's so many fans of it over the years. But what's fun about this is, they are both OM bodies. They are both spruce, and Sitka spruce, and East Indian rosewood back and sides. But that's about it. They do have the same scale and lengths being OMs, but it's actually a little bit different. Cooper was asking me at the outset, this is 25.4 inches according to Martin's website. This is measured in fractions at 25 and 9/16, which equates to 25.5 something or other. So very close, a little bit different. This one is arguably a fraction of an inch, maybe longer. But yeah, I mean, this is also a cutaway model. We should say that you can get this like that without electronics, without a cutaway. This is just the Master's Choice, which is effectively the most popular iteration of this guitar in that lineup. But the nice thing about Furch, compared to a lot of manufacturers, is if you want to order this as a baritone, you call up Alamo Music and say, hey, I saw that video that Chris and Cooper did, and I really liked that orange OM, but I'd like it as a baritone. We can go, okay, you can have it as a baritone.
8-string, 9-string.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So many options.
So that's a nice thing about working with a builder like Furch.
And I really want to, just for our store, experiment with some of that stuff. I have not been disappointed by really anything by them. It'd be cool to get a little weirder, a little stranger.
Yeah, well, that's hearsay. So,
that's Dr. Strange.
Let's talk.
This pop culture references, dude?
Let's talk about some differences on them. So obviously they're very, very similar. Same body shape, same tone woods, similar scale length. This has the Goto 510 tuners, which I will unapologetically say are just the best tuners, period.
Objection. Would you prefer those buttons or?
They're fine.
The thing is, the Go-To 510, the tuning machine itself is perfect either way.
I like kind of the modern.
I love those buttons. It's
bean,
the bean. I love that bean.
Yeah, I like it. So yeah, because effectively the Go-To design typically is like a modern take on this.
Yeah.
You know, but without open gear backs, and they're just so smooth. These are great Grover open gear tuning machines. I love that they're light. I love the aesthetic of them. They are not as smooth as these.
No.
You know, I've tuned both of these up back to back, and you know, we had a similar thing with some Taylors we were shooting. Taylor tuners versus the Go-To tuners. And the Taylor tuners were nice. There's nothing wrong. They were smooth. They had a great, you know, ratio. But the Go-Tos were just like butter. So you get Go-Tos on this. This particular one, like we said, has a cutaway, and it has LR Bag's Anthem Stage Pro in the side. You can spec it without that. You can spec it with a normal Anthem. And then this has Furch's CNR technology in the neck, which is basically neck reinforcement that is in the heel, ensures that you always have a straight neck. It does add some weight to the guitar. You know, I've always kind of feel that. And it has their proprietary bracing and top voicing that they do on it. It makes for a beautiful, great playing and beautiful sounding guitar. We'll talk about tone differences on the other side. So let's go over the classic OM-28 that you've got there.
Classic OM-28, really very similar to how it's always been, but
well, it changes since they reimagined it, which made it better than it had been for decades.
Scalloped X bracing, this kind of vintage tonered Sitka spruce, herringbone, and you know that has wood binding on it. This has like their vintage white. This is not wood. 28 style back strip, and like you said, open gear tuners with a little diamond volute, and you know, ebony and ebony, faux tortoise, which look red to me.
And I love the inlay on these. It's perfect, the understatement, diamond, but nice.
Yeah, so it's classic, and this has no pickup in it.
Both of these have really nice tops.
Yeah, really pretty.
Just so there on spruce, you can see this kind of cross kind of lines. It's called silking or medullary lines. That really nice pieces of spruce. You know, you have straight grain, and then you see that silking through it all, even color. Both of these are just really nice pieces.
If you can't see it in the video, that one does have a pick guard, but it's clear. This one has the pick guard that I prefer. So 0028 and OM-28, very similar guitars, same exact body, shape, and size, scale length difference, and pick guard difference. I just prefer the OM pickguard. I think it's just cool.
It's a smaller pickguard, and I agree. I prefer it. And it's nice to see that this has faux tortoise shell pickguard, because some
they
Martins
figured out a way
have
to
not had
sustainably source the faux tortoises.
Yeah, they found more faux tortoises to sacrifice for the greater good, and that's sorry to the faux tortoises, but we need our pickguards.
Yeah.
So
I mean, moving slow like the real tortoises. And also, poly finish, nitro finish?
Exactly, yeah. Polyurethane based, probably UV cured, I think similar to what Taylor does. That is a nitro based finish.
Which you can tell from the dust that I am accumulating from this brand new out of the case guitar.
Yeah, you ever see little dealer tip, if you ever walk into a shop and they've got brand new Martins on the wall, and you're like, wow, these are dusty. They don't clean their guitars. When a new nitro finish guitar comes in, I don't care if it's a Fender Custom Shop or Gibson or Martin, it's still off-gassing for like ever. And so when they're really new, they tend to develop this, it'll be in the cases, like it'll just have this little thing that we have to wipe off. But it smells nice. The nice thing about nitro is it will cure and sink into the wood. It's very resonant. It is a bit more caustic when they're making it, and that's why you don't see as many guitars with nitro finishes. Easy to repair too. But easier to damage. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's easy to repair, but look at it the wrong way, and it'll be like, hey man, you hurt my feelings. Here's a dent for you.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, you played these before we get into the demos. Just feel wise, how big is the neck profile difference to you on these guitars?
Not a big deal. They're very similar in a lot of ways. I was comfortable on both. The action on both of them is really, really good. So yeah, I feel wise, I could go either way. So
let's hear them.
All right, check it out. Okay, there you have it. So before I talk about my thoughts, you play both of them back to back. Your thoughts?
Well, I asked you, feel, how does it, affect how you feel about the guitars and how you play them. I do think that the neck profiles are pretty similar. There's just something about the Furch neck to me that feels a little more ergonomic. I don't know why that is, but everyone that I've picked up, I almost feel like it's kind of an upgrade to me.
It's probably probably a subtlety in the carve.
Yeah,
that's comfortable.
Which, like I said, this is one of my favorite guitars, and so when I play an OM-28, I'm never thinking, oh, this neck is uncomfortable. But that's one thing, because, spoiler alert, when we get into which one would I buy, I would probably go for the Martin, but I do think feel-wise, the neck, and weirdly enough, a longer scale length, the strings feel a little slinkier to me. I don't know if that comes to what gauge of strings they're putting on.
I think that comes more down to setup. It's kind of like the thing that's always weirded me out, as an example, is that a Taylor T5Z that comes with 11s will feel slinkier than like a Les Paul that comes with 9 to 10, 9 to 46 or something. And I've always been weirded out by that because the scale lengths would be the same, the strings are dramatically different, and one feels lighter than the other.
Yeah.
And so I think it comes down to the setup.
Yeah, I think something about the OM that I like, OM-28, is it feels like a Canon whenever you play it. You're able to play very softly. You still got a lot of volume. I think this is a great big old strumming guitar that can blast you with sound, despite the fact that it is kind of triple O body size, pretty.
Well, that's why they call it the orchestra model, right? It's to be able to kind of sit in an orchestra setting and still project and cut through and provide you everything you need. The longer scale length of it versus a triple O really
gives you that push.
Gives you that projection, because there's more tension.
Which I love. I do think the Furch plays and sounds more like a modern guitar,
I would agree with that.
And a lot of what they do, I don't know if they say this or not, but I feel like a lot of it is inspired by some of Taylor's designs. I don't know how the timelines match up there, but it feels more like playing a Taylor with kind of different elements from other manufacturers, which I think is a really cool thing. And the more that they make, and the more that they get their name out there, I think it's less, oh, this plays like a Taylor, sounds like a Martin. It's just, this is a Furch, which is really cool. I don't know, what do you think when you're playing them?
So to talk about that last point, it's interesting that you bring up Taylor in regards to this. I don't know how they're influenced. I know I saw really, really early Furch guitars from like the 80s, and it looked like they were heavily influenced by like what Ovation was doing at the time. And there was a lot of experimentation and development of their designs. And of course, they have their vintage series and then their colored series. And the vintage series is in a lot of ways very similar to Martin. And some might ask, wouldn't that have been a good comparison? Yeah, if we get another one in someday, we'll do that comparison.
Well, we do. I could be wrong because it might have sold, but we have the vintage series OM. But I think this is a more compelling comparison to me. It would be fun to throw that one in there. I just think that vintage series is almost too close.
It's very, very close.
It's like, you know what you're getting there. Yeah. I think this really comes down to very classically minded versus modern minded OM.
Yeah, and so this follows the pattern that Taylor and other builders like Larrivee and so many others have followed, where it's kind of taking this recipe, this basis design, and then putting their own spin on it. It definitely does play like a more modern guitar, even though the reimagined stuff that Martin did brought a lot of playability improvements with Martin. To your point, the neck feels a little bit different. They both feel great to me. Sound-wise, what's interesting is this sounds very open, very organic, and there's like a zing to the notes. Whereas this, every single note is there and it's present, and it's not as articulate like, for instance, on a Taylor. It's got that organic aspect to it, but it almost feels a little bit rounder. There's kind of like this raggedy, like abrasive almost thing that the Martin can get out of it.
Yeah.
And all of the notes blend together, and you have this chord that comes out of it, which is and it's really pleasant. Okay, so when I'm describing it, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. But it is a thing
like this raggedy, abrasive sound that I just love.
Seriously, like you hear the note and it's got this thing to it, and that's the only way. Describing sound with words is always rough, but there's a zing to it. This is how it hits me. And with this, it's rounder.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's just a rounder sound to every single note.
It's got that boom, boom, pow.
Yeah.
Like Black Eyed Peas kind of stuff.
And so another way of saying it is this is really open and this is a little bit more focused, both in its overall sound and in every single note, but it's not less resonant.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hear more focus and when it's quieter, it's less resonant. It's hampered in some way. This isn't less resonant, but the sound is kind of more focused in that way. So it's interesting. And because of it, I really like both. Playing through the demo, I played that one first and I played this one. I was just like, I don't know which one I would go with.
Yeah. It's tough, and I was thinking about this video because I was actually talking to a fella that is looking for basically one of these. And
get both.
You get both, but I think when people, they think I want a mid-sized body spruce rosewood, they're looking at maybe an 814 versus an OM-28 or 0028, something like that. And while, yes, I love this guitar, there are some things that are out there and some that we carry, like the Furch Orange Master's Choice OM-SR SPA, that it might, I mean...
Furch could work on their nomenclature a bit.
What a good kind of whole other niche for this style of guitar.
The other thing, too, is, the benefit of this guitar is it offers you something that Martin won't let you have in that guitar. A cutaway with electronics.
That's true. Yeah. That's a custom shop build for 10 grand if you're interested.
Yeah,
you can put a pickup in there.
You can add a pickup to it.
Pretty easy.
But that's and I could listen. I could give you a cutaway if you have a few months and don't mind a sawzall. We'll get her done.
Yeah.
But
we got a service department.
It won't be factory
Chris
spec.
Just goes down there with a saw, handsaw even. You're done.
But yeah, so I mean the options available to this are fantastic, and the sound is definitely something different, and if you ask me, which I would go with, I would actually have a difficult time choosing between the two, and partly because right now I really, really, really want to add a Martin to my collection.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be a 0028 or an HD28. I'm kind of on the fence between those two. So.
It's a bummer because I've been wanting to add a Martin as well for quite a long time, but the more I see from them, I'm like, I also need to add one of these to my collection.
Yeah.
And there's something about the reds that are really, really cool. Aesthetically, maybe a little too fancy for my taste. They're definitely the, pinnacle of luxury that Furch creates if you don't go rainbow. But I like that the orange and the yellows and, the different series, you have different aesthetics that you can choose which is best for you. The redwood rosette is kind of a cool, luxurious nod, but the rest is pretty understated. So just cool guitar.
Yeah, awesome. And again, I think a really good example that you can have an OM made of spruce and rosewood, but the DNA of the builder, how they go about voicing the guitar and everything else, really informs the ultimate sound and feel that you get out of the instrument. And so a lot of times we are a little bit too reductive when we look at, it's a spruce and rosewood OM. There's a lot of variations in there, and it's good to understand that when you're comparing builders and trying to assess what you want to add to your collection. So hopefully this video was helpful. Let us know in the comments below what you thought, if it is helpful, and your experiences with different builders of similar guitars and how it's come across to you. Right?
Right.
All right. At the end of the day, I always say the best guitar in the world is the one that you're playing. I'll take either of these, please and thank you. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and we will see you next time.